Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish. Today's video is one that I've been really looking forward to filming for a while because I am someone who loves nail polish and I love traveling. And I know the first time I wanted to figure out how to travel with nail polish, I didn't do it the right way. Not to say that there is one right way to do it, but there were a lot of lessons learned that now I like to share with all of you who may be curious about some best practices for this. First thing, there's a huge rainstorm going around right now, and just a few minutes prior to this, when I sat down to film this, it just sounded like a hailstorm, because I think that is what's happening. So I'm gonna try to clean up the audio as best I can, but if you happen to hear a little bit of extra thumping in there, it's just the rain. Okay, so we've got a lot to cover today. First, also because I know I love showing what my shirt of the day is, especially if part of it is cut off. This is one that my husband picked up for me. And surprised me with. It's this cute little marshmallow and it says, "I'm fulfilling my destiny." He got this for me because it's basic. This is me, the intersection of cute and creepy. So I love this. Okay. So today's video, to give you a sense of how it's going to be structured, I'm going to start by walking through what my process is for how I specifically pack nail polish. Then also, I'm looking at my notes here in case you see me looking down. I'm also going to cover other supplies that I bring along with me and why. Then I'm going to talk about my notes here. I just put how I deal with acetone. It says, it's exactly what it is. Figuring out how to remove nail polish while you are on the go. And then after that, I've got two other fun things that I want to talk about that are travel adjacent, that are related to this. The first thing is going to be giving you some details about the Polish and Beauty Expo. For those of you who may not have heard about that, or maybe you have, but you haven't quite decided if you want to travel for that or not, I want to share my experience with that and hopefully convince you to come if that's something that might be feasible for you this year. And then in one of my most recent videos, I mentioned that I was, there's a part I needed to edit in, and I happened to mention that I was in London at the time on a little quick holiday getaway. And y'all, while I was in London, I met Cynthia Erivo, the nail icon. There's a whole story about that. I'm just it fits in this video. We're gonna talk about that. That's later on. As always, everything is time stamped. I even have video of me meeting Cynthia. Cynthia knows who I am now. It's kind of unreal. Anyway, okay, let's go ahead and get right into talking about some travel. So the first section that I want to talk about is how I specifically pack nail polishes, like the bottles themselves. And like I said in the beginning, there's a number of different ways that I know many people do this. What I'm going to be sharing is what has worked for me. And so, take away from this video what works for you. If something doesn't, you can figure out some other options too, but I just want to show you some options that are out there. So what works for me is that I put everything into this, I think this is a quart size bag. Sure. This is this quart size bag. You can see that it's definitely seen some better days. I basically reuse this every time that I travel. There's a number of reasons why I start by putting my polishes in a quart size bag like this. Number one, being that it helps to not prevent it spills, but let's say if worst case scenario, there were some kind of spill or break that happened with the bottle while I'm traveling. If I have it contained within a sealable plastic baggie like this, I don't have to worry about that polish getting out and spilling anything else, even the inside of the other bag that I'm going to show you in a moment that I pack this inside of. Second reason is that it can be really helpful for times when you're traveling. Like I have pre-check, so I don't have to like take out the liquids or stuff. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but if there ever is a time where I need to be able to easily show what I'm traveling with as far as liquids, it's great to be able to just pull this out here and say, hey, here's what I've got. So fun story, not on the most recent cruise that I took the other month, but one that I think was last year. I went through the scanner and had this in one of my like carry-on bags, and it got flagged. And I went over and spoke with the agent, and they said it got flagged because they thought that I was trying to smuggle alcohol onto the ship. And so they just needed me to verify that these were not in fact alcohol bottles. And I was like, I can open these up and you can smell if you want, like, and they were like, we're good. So that was the only time that's been flagged. Number three, reason why I like using a little baggie like this is that it helps me to limit the number of bottles that I bring with me as I'm traveling. And I think I mentioned this in one of my videos that I filmed while I was on my most recent cruise, but that was one of the first times that I had started bringing a lot more toppers with me as part of my nail polish on the go. That was quite the exception of a trip, because it was the case that I was doing a week of vacation, and then immediately after that I had a week of a work trip. Like, all of this was on the West Coast, and so I had to pack for 2 weeks, and I thought, well, I'll bring some toppers with me. That'll give me some more flexibility, and it did. But y'all, this bag was getting kind of full here. So I would say I also put my cuticle oil in here. The cuticle oil pen is in here. Something else I'll mention about this, very similar to like just regular toiletries. If you are someone who travels a lot and you are thinking of traveling with nail polish, something I would recommend doing would be to, if this is feasible for you, to have like a separate base coat, top coat, etc., that you just keep in your travel bag for nail polish, so that you don't have to worry about always making sure that you've brought those in. Just like deodorant. I mean, I feel like there's this is why, like, in my suitcase at any given time, I just buy like the 5-pack of something, and then I just put it in there, because you get stuck without deodorant one time and you're like, this is never gonna happen to me again, and I'm taking 5 of them with me. So ever since then, it's been cool. So yeah, I think those are the main tips I would say about the packing and the nail polish itself. And where I then put this, so I seal it up. I'm just going to put this gently down on the floor for a moment. And I have this pouch here, the iconic salty pouch that is occasionally available through Polish Pickup. And this is the reason why, like in the thumbnail, I just showed this side instead of this. It's also hilarious, like, that story that I just shared where I was needing to have my bag of nail polish checked by the cruise inspector agent person. That Ziploc bag was inside this. So as they were opening my bag up, they took this out, and it's like, this is the message that the security person was reading as they were opening up my bag. It was, stuff happens. They thought it was funny. So yeah, within this bag, this little pouch, there are these little like elastic loops here that are able to fit most sizes of nail polish bottles. I think the square ones tend to not be designed for, or this isn't designed for the square ones specifically, but the round ones tend to fit in here no problem. I appreciate that these are in here for people who prefer to use them. I've got to say, for myself, I really don't use them ever. I started off by using them, but then once I realized that I want to ensure that my nail polish bottles have an extra layer of protection in case anything were to spill or break. I don't want that spilling to happen inside, like directly inside here. I do recommend, if you've got a pouch like this that you really value, put your polish in a baggie and then put the baggie inside the pouch. So now that we've covered all of those items for the nail polish, this is where I need to switch back to my list of notes here and go over some of the other supplies that I bring with me. So one thing that I bring with me is like a little emery board nail file. This is one that I got from Blank Beauty when they and like one of my orders that they sent to me. I like this. It's perfect for just being so tiny. I mean, y'all, it's like the size of a Band-Aid. And I love this as like my travel nail file because it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. It's got a nice hard texture to it, which is what I like. And also, like, I did look this up before as I was researching and planning for this video. I was curious, can you fly with your carry-on with a glass nail file? And from what I saw on the TSA website, it did say yes. However, I feel like sometimes things can be hit or miss with them, and I would rather just err on the side of, you know what, let me not have something in here that's going to look super pointy that somebody's thinking it's a weapon. So I just go with this, and it's just really nice to have this with me as I'm going. By the way, I think I forgot to mention that all of this that I'm saying here, I only travel with this in a carry-on when I'm flying. I would never put this in my checked luggage. For one thing, if my luggage were to ever get lost, I don't want to lose this, but also it's just easier for me to have it there with me and know that everything is safe and secure. Okay, next thing I mentioned, I travel with cuticle oil. The one that I tend to use both at home and also on the go. My favorite is from BCB Lacquers. They have this really great like spin top for cuticle oil, and you know, it's got like a little spring in there, so this is not going to leak whatsoever. You just have to make sure it's on there tight, but the cap is designed in a way to where like you would know if you hadn't put it on all the way. So I really love having this with me. Okay, next, there are some times when I will decide to be a little ambitious while I'm traveling and say, you know what, if I feel up to it, I'll do some magnetics. Sure, fine. And so, I thought I just had one magnet down here. I'm just gonna pull this out as it is. And I mean as it is, because I'm gonna try to make multiple points here. Okay, so we've got, you can actually see it here better. So I've got a wand magnet, right? And then I have these two other bar magnets that are just on there too. And then there's a hairball. I know I've talked about this before when I've said that like I have a tendency to just like all around my house here I just shed hairballs, and whenever I'm traveling and my husband's at home and I'm on the go, I say to him like, when you start to miss me, just find a hairball. And he does, and it reminds him of me. So yeah, so this is another thing I would say, if you are someone who travels a lot and you want to have some of the essentials with you on the go so that you don't have to always remember to keep putting them in, taking them out, and so on, having a magnet or 3 plus hairball in this case is something that I would recommend. What else do we have? Okay, brushes. So I have a couple of different brushes that I use. One is So are they all from e.l.f.? I think maybe. Okay. Yeah, this is a cleanup brush that I use. It's very similar to the one that I use here at home on a regular basis. All of these brushes I'm about to show you are ones that I just keep in my travel pouch so that I don't have to keep remembering to put in and take back out. Having a cleanup brush is great. If you are ever like on the go and you realize that you forgot to pack your like a cleanup brush with you, hopefully if you can just go to any kind of drugstore, go to the makeup aisle, I'm sure you'll be able to find something that's usable. I also travel with like these slightly larger brushes. I'm just holding them in this open space here so it's easier to see. I travel with these slightly larger brushes, one of which also has a hairball on it, because this is actually going to connect over to the next portion when I talk about how I work with acetone and how I like clean my nails. So these larger ones are used for the purpose of nail polish removal. And then, okay, I also, on the topic of working with acetone, when you're cleaning up your nails, you're gonna wanna have some kind of like dish or something to have the acetone in. I know sometimes if people are traveling with like, if you're using a whole like bottle of acetone, or if you have like an entire bottle with you like at home, some people will just use the little tiny cap that it comes with as their little dipping thing. Okay, at one point I was when I was getting ready for a trip, I realized I didn't have like a cleanup dish to take with me on the go. And so I went to my local grocery store and just was like, okay, I've got to find something. And you know, you always want to make sure it's something that is not going to be like, that the acetone is not going to melt. So you go for glass. And I got this, which is a spice jar, but it works. Now, to be clear, I don't like keep acetone in this with me as I'm traveling. Like I trust Old Bay or something in this, but I don't trust this to necessarily be leak proof for liquids. I just use this as I'm doing my nails and I need something to clean my brush with. I just have this and I put the acetone in it. And you know, with acetone, the cleanup is super easy because all I have to do once I've finished doing my nails, just leave the cap off and the acetone will evaporate on its own. Easy enough. Okay. I also recommend traveling with some kind of mat like this. I can put a link to this one that I bought off of Amazon in the description in case any of you need it. I'm just going to roll this out here so you can get a sense of how big this is. This is something that I feel is really important to have if you're doing your nails on the go, because let's say you are sitting down and doing your nails on the hotel room desk. Those things are usually made of wood or some kind of surface that if you get acetone on that, and even if you try to wipe it up right away, it's probably going to leave some kind of, it's going to affect the finish and the surface of that table. So in order to prevent that, what I recommend, this looks really aggressive, what I recommend is using some kind of mat like this along with paper towels. Now, you know, you might be thinking, okay, who's gonna travel with like a roll of paper towels? So I don't do that. What I do is I use these like Kleenex hand towels that come in a little thing like this, and it's super easy to pack with the rest of my luggage. And what's great about that is, you know, think about the things that you get in your hotel room and the number of times where you might need to clean up something like you would at home just with a paper towel, but you're not gonna have that in a hotel room. So I just keep those in my suitcase. It's great to have on the go, and again, very easy to pick up at like a local like grocery store or something like that. So now let's talk about acetone, how I deal with acetone. And this actually gets into the bigger conversation of how I prefer to remove nail polish in general, which I don't think I've ever spoken about on this channel. So yeah, let's talk about that now. When I first started doing my nails, I had heard about using cotton balls and nail clips, which you know, you dip the cotton ball in acetone or some nail polish remover, clip them on with like the nail clips, let them sit for some time, like 10 minutes or so, wipe them off, you're good to go. For me, that worked okay, but I think that why I stopped doing it that way was that I often have some textural sensitivities to things, and me and the cotton balls, especially like the damp cotton balls, it just wasn't for me, I guess I'll say. And so that's why I personally don't do that. But so what I do instead is that I use one of these like nail polish remover jars, where when you if you can see, oh shoot, just spilled it. Okay, hold up. I just spilled acetone on myself. Thankfully, I have my paper towels nearby, so that was helpful. Goodness, okay. Let me not do that again. Okay, so I'm not going to try to show y'all that again. Hopefully you saw it, like it's a little thing in there, you put your finger in, and it's got little scrubbers where you can like, you know, move your finger up and down and it will remove the nail polish very easily. This is where, you know, everyone's nails are so different, and it's so important to just figure out what's going to work best for you. Like, for example, there's so many people who, you know, I read their posts on Reddit and Facebook groups where they talk about how much they love using a peel-off base coat, and they love using a peel-off base coat, but also because like things like reflective glitter have had a tendency to scratch their nails. Me, I'm exactly the opposite from that, in that I can't use a peel-off base coat because every single one that I've tried ends up causing my nails to peel. But yeah, I have zero issue with getting my nails scratched up when I'm removing reflective glitter. Like I use this to remove reflective glitter, and my nails are completely fine with that. But again, you figure out what works best for you, right? So again, something like this, I also don't travel with. I seek this out when I'm on the go as my preferred method of having something to quickly remove my nail polish. But let's say if for whatever reason that's not available, what I would do is I've got my my spice jar, my glass jar here. I'll fill this up with some acetone, and then what I'll do is use these one of these larger brushes that I was showing you earlier, where I'll like dip it in here and then just like rub off the polish. With that being said, if it is the case that I'm going to be traveling somewhere where I have any concerns about my ability to purchase like one of those acetone removal jars, I will not wear polish types that can take more effort to remove. So I'm not going to wear like reflective glitter in that case, because while it's not that difficult for me to remove when I'm using like one of the removal jars, if I'm trying to remove that on my own just by like brushing it off with some acetone, I'm gonna be there for a while. So for those trips, I would tend to stick more towards like creams, crowleys, jellies, things like that. Another option that exists out there that I unfortunately do not have right now, but are also generally available within the nail polish aisle. Nail polish remover wipes are a fantastic thing to have if you especially are wearing some of those more straightforward nail polish finishes that I mentioned, like creams, crowleys, jellies. Nothing that's really going to require a whole lot of like deep, you know, scrubbing to remove. those you can tend to get in the nail polish aisle. You know, just look for the acetone, and then from what I've seen, they typically come in some kind of like square box, and you know, they take up a very little amount of space in your suitcase. So always good to have those on standby just in case you really cannot find actual acetone wherever you go. And yeah, I do buy acetone at my destination. I don't want to travel with it because I just feel like something's gonna spill out. And when you think about how it costs just a few dollars for a bottle of acetone, you know, the few dollars to buy it at my destination compared to however much it would cost if it happened to get like spilled inside of my suitcase. And the last thing I want to say for this is, if it's the case that you don't want to deal with having to completely change up your nails while you're on the go, something you could do is just bring the polish that you're wearing on the day that you leave, bring some top coat, bring some brushes, and some cuticle oil with you to do touch-ups as needed. So let's say this is the polish that I've got on me right now, and this is what I know I'm going to be wearing for the next week. Instead of me having to look through my whole collection and figure out like which polishes am I going to bring with me, do I want this one or that one, I just bring the one I'm currently wearing, bring the top coat, because it's amazing how putting a fresh coat of top coat on a few days later will help make it look brand new. Also, bring that same polish so that you can touch up the tips of your nails as needed, and then bring brushes with you so that as you're putting on that additional polish and the top coat, you know, you'll just have something there in case you accidentally get a little too generous with the top coat and all that. So that is another option. Okay, so now let's talk about the Polish and Beauty Expo. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's an annual event that takes place in the Chicago suburbs. This year's event is taking place between July 18th to 19th, specifically at the Tinley Park Convention Center that's in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. I started doing my nails in like late June, early July of 2024. Like, I remember going to the store, picking up a few polishes, coming home, trying to figure stuff out. And it was a learning process for me. Eventually, I realized that there's probably nail polish YouTubers. And so I remember I put like nail polish into YouTube, and then that introduced me to so much stuff, so many tips. And in one of the videos that I happened to come across, this was like, oh my goodness, I want to say like the Polish and Beauty Expo takes place over a weekend, like Saturday and Sunday. I want to say I found out about it like the Tuesday of that week before, right? So I heard about this in someone's video. I think it was Nicole Loves Nails, probably. And she was talking about Polish and Beauty Expo, and I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. But I thought, this is before I realized where it was taking place or when or whatever. I said, oh, let me see when it's happening. I saw the dates and like, oh, that's like this weekend coming up. Too bad that I'm only just now finding out about it. But then I realized it's taking place in Tinley Park, which is like 20-ish minutes drive away from where I live. And so I double checked my calendar. I didn't have anything going on that day. So before I could talk myself out of it, I bought myself a ticket, and then I was excited. I remember telling my husband like, hey, guess what I'm doing Sunday? There's this thing called the Polish and Beauty Expo, and I'm going. And he is so supportive of everything that I do, every new hobby that I pick up, and especially in the early stages of it. We're this way with each other, and he was just so encouraging. He was like, oh, that's so exciting, you're gonna meet other nail polish people. And I was excited, but I also was really freaked out because I did not know what to expect. So Polish and Beauty Expo, it's a 2-day event. On the first day, there's polish making workshops, there's like a meet and greet reception where you get to hang out with the indie nail makers who are there. You meet other nail polish fans. Then on the Sunday, that's the expo day, where you go into the expo hall, and the different indie brands who are there will each have a table where they are selling their polishes, and you get to meet the makers. You get to see polishes in person. There's always Polish and Beauty Expo, or PBE, exclusive polishes that are there. Actually, one of my favorite polishes, my top favorite polish, is this one that I got at Polish and Beauty Expo 2024, my first year. This is Jen & Barry's Get In Loser, We're Going Shopping. And when I saw this, I was just like, oh, this is me in a bottle. I love this, love this. And so every time I wear that polish, I think back to the experience that I had at PBE, the great experience there. Now, tickets for PBE, I believe, tend to go on sale in December. So like the ones for this year's event went up and started going on sale in December of last year, a few months ago. And for things that are really in high demand, like the polish making workshops, the meet and greet reception, VIP tickets, those all tend to go pretty quickly. However, I believe that in the Polish and Beauty Expo Facebook group, there is a post that is sort of like a wait list where you can express interest in the type of ticket that you're hoping to purchase if it does become available. So I do encourage you, if you are on Facebook, check out the PBE Facebook group, and that's going to be a place where you can get a lot of additional resources. By the way, I'll put links to the Polish and Beauty Expo website and the Facebook group in the description of this video. So why I'm mentioning this, because it's a travel video, and I know last year, like shortly before the expo, as people were starting to post more about it online, other people were like, oh wow, I've never heard of this before. Had I known a few months ago that this was a thing, I would have been able to fit it in and budget for it, but now I can't because it's like happening like next weekend. And so that's why I'm talking about it now, so that if there are any of you who are looking for something fun to do this summer and to do something fun that's nail polish related, I encourage you to see if it might be possible for you. I will be there. Yay. This will be my third year there. So my first year was what I mentioned in 2024. I will say I showed up feeling very, we talk about imposter syndrome. Y'all, I had just started doing my nails, and I was just like, I don't want to be like the only person here who doesn't know anybody, or the only person here who like knows nothing about this world of nail polish. But I decided, let me put on some sparkly polish, and long story short, I had a great time. As it gets closer to this year's PBE, I will be filming a separate video all about that, like tips and strategies that I would recommend, especially for those of you who may find yourself in a similar situation that I was in, where you are maybe new to nail polish, or you have social anxiety, or if you are going by yourself and you feel like you don't want to be alone. I'm a cover all of that. And also say hi to me. I'm tall. I have bright red hair. It's even more red in person. Believe me, like in the right lighting, whew, you cannot miss me from a mile away. And also I am, like, I will say, as much as I am an introvert by nature, like, I always tell my team that I work with, at the end of a long day of like being in all day meetings with them, I'm like, I love y'all. Y'all are great, but I'm gonna need to go and recharge my battery because absence makes the heart grow fonder. And they completely understand, right? Like, I enjoy being around people, but I also do know what my limitations are, and the things that drain my energy and the things that charge it back up. And so that is why prior to PBE, I always make sure that I get plenty of rest beforehand, so that I show up excited and ready to just socialize with people. So like I said, I will be filming a completely separate video about this, but I just wanted to reassure any of you, like, if you are feeling that way, do know that, like, I'm someone you can come say hi to. I'm a little weird in person. I mean, y'all see how I am. Like how I am on YouTube is how I am in person, even more so. Don't be surprised if I like start making puns or like jokes that don't land, but I start laughing at them anyway. Like it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be great. So yeah, take a look into that, and hopefully I will see some of you there. All right, and so the final portion of this travel theme video is related to my recent trip that I took to London. I filmed a separate segment that goes into the context of how and where I met Cynthia Erivo. I decided to film it that night because my energy was just so hyped and I wanted to capture that moment. But to set the scene, I'm someone who's really into musical theater, and I often will go to shows here in Chicago, but also I love being able to go to Broadway shows. So what I'll do is I've done this so much, I call it a theater weekend, where if I'm going to New York, what I'll do is take Friday off from work. I will take the first flight of the day from Chicago to New York. It's a super quick flight, like 2 hours. I'll get checked into my hotel. Then I'll see a show on Friday night. I'll see a Saturday matinee, a Saturday night show, and then fly back home to Chicago on Sunday morning. And it's a great way to just kind of pack a lot of entertainment into a single weekend. This time I decided to do theater weekend in London in the West End. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to London Olivia to take it away.
Yeah, hey, so I decided to film this part on the night of this video clip that I'm about to show you because my excitement right now is just, what even is life? So I'm here in London right now for a nice little weekend of going to see a few shows in the West End. And I planned this trip around the new stage production of Dracula, starring Cynthia Erivo. It's one of these productions where she is performing 23 different roles, and parts of the play are presented with her in pre-recorded uh sections, and she in like it in front of you on the stage is interacting with the recorded parts of her, so she's needing to keep time with that. But then there's also times where she'll be saying a few lines, here is this character, and then totally switch up her cadence, her inflection, everything, switch up her outfit and be a completely different person. So, uh, I've mentioned on this channel before that I love horror. I don't know if y'all realize just how much I love Dracula specifically. Like, I've got some props here, or visual aids, if you will. The purse that I carry on just a regular basis is this. So it's a purse, but it is Dracula. So it opens like this, and there's first stuff in there, but it looks like a book. It even, like it's a book, but it's a purse. So I love Dracula. And if you're unfamiliar with live theater, often what can happen is that afterwards fans will go hang out at the stage door and wait for the stars to come out, and you get to meet them, you get to have your program signed. It all depends though on how it all depends on how up to it the stars are. And I will say that any time that these actors give of themselves, beyond beyond, being on stage, I truly appreciate, because this is something that they absolutely do not have to do. But um, so, long story short, I got to meet Cynthia. I got a signature here, but then also Cynthia is known for her nails. So transition here. That's why we're here. So, I'm watching Dracula, right? And I should also mention that because I decided to plan this trip to London to see her in Dracula, I'm like, well, let me just treat myself. So I bought a front row center, like smack dab front row center seat. And it was so cool to be able to see her nails up close. That sounded really creepy, but like I was curious because she's switching in and out of costumes, and I know that in her personal life, she's very well known for having these very gorgeous and intricately designed nails. For Dracula, they were these very beautiful pearly white nails that almost seem to have a matte finish, but not matte, if that makes sense. Like they weren't super shiny glossy, but they also weren't as like matte as matte. It was somewhere in between, is what I'm saying. And so there's this one scene where she was acting in like the pre-recorded portions as different representations of Dracula throughout popular culture history. And when she showed up as like the classic Nosferatu, uh, like with the ears and the nails and everything, her nails in that moment were like, okay, y'all know how long Cynthia's nails are normally, right? Her nails as Nosferatu were like twice as long. And this is a detail that only we who love and live and breathe nail polish fumes, will notice or appreciate. But it almost looked like to me, instead of having like nails that were, like, that were like one single piece, it looked like they had been fused together in the middle and kind of shaped. But I was like, I'm noticing some overlapping here, but again, it's the kind of thing that like only if you are into nail polish and nails as much as we are would you notice that. So really, really well done. And I was sitting there watching the entire time, just staring up in awe, right? So fast forward to the stage door, and I got to meet Cynthia, and it you'll see the clip I'm gonna insert right after this, but turns out that like she noticed me in the crowd looking at her, and I just melted in a puddle, and it was just what even is life right now. So it's playing until I think May, from what I saw. So if any of you are also into live theater and also love Dracula, it is just I highly recommend coming over here if you're able to see it. And not only because of how well Cynthia performed in it, but I also really need to talk to some people who also understand nails so that we can talk about the nail situation there. So anyway, here's a clip. Last thing. Obviously, I wore this shirt. Like y'all know me. I'm not subtle, and so I'm like, if I'm coming all the way to London to see Cynthia, I, I'm I'm holding space here. So yeah, okay. On to the clip.
Guys, simple signatures. We've got a lot of people here to cover. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hello, Dad. Hello.
I love your nails.
Thank you very much.
Really into nail polish.
You were so lovely.
Oh, I was
Good
staring at
energy
you
at the
from the.
front. Thank
Hey,
you
thank you
so
so
much.
much. Take care.
Thank you so much. You get home safely.
You too. Okay, and so that concludes this video about some tips with traveling with nail polish and other travel stories, because it's all travel related. I would love to hear of any other travel tips that you all have, especially related to nail polish, in the comments. If there's anything that I didn't include, or any other strategies that you think would be helpful for people to know, please share, because I know I'm always on the lookout for new tips and tricks and things that will help me to be able to enjoy my one of my favorite hobbies while I am on the go. So thank you all so much for watching. It is great to be back. I have missed filming while I was away, and I'm really excited about a lot of the upcoming content that I've got for y'all, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you all again, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.